Knights of Pen and Paper has a bit of an interesting concept. The idea is that you play as a group of people playing a board game of Dungeons and Dragons filled with the signature classes from the games. You start off starting a new game, of course, and choosing who will be playing. You pick the person who is playing as well as the class they will be, such as Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Mage, and a bunch of others. It's good to pick the correct person with the right class in order to maximize its efficiency. So as you start the game, you'll learn that one of the more standout features is choosing who you fight. When you press the battle button or the attack button, you get to pick who your enemies will be. You can make this game an easier game having less enemies to fight, or you can make it more difficult by putting more enemies on the screen and having to use tactics to your advantage. Depending on where you are, you can create a quest. Here you can select the type of quest you want it to be, whether it can be a battle to slay certain creatures, a predetermined battle, a place to travel, a quest to escort, a quest to gather items, so many different quests, but it all boils down to the same thing. You have to fight some monsters in order to gain whatever you need to gain. So let's talk about the combat. If you've played any Final Fantasy games or any turn-based RPG, you'll pretty much know what I'm talking about. It's a little bit simplified, however. It kind of reminds me of those flash games on Congregate or even addicting games, but it pretty much works like this. You can press the attack button to attack an enemy, use a magic spell, use an item, use or go to defense mode, or run away. The biggest flaw with the combat is that it's too damn simplistic and you won't be strong enough to really one-hit kill a lot of the enemies even though you out-level them by 10 levels or more. But since almost all the battles are so damn easy and simplistic, the enemies having large health doesn't really make too much of a difference. It just makes the battles longer and more tedious. When you level up, you get to put 1 point in any of the ability your character has. This makes the game very restrictive in terms of leveling up since you can't customize the character the way you want. The character's stats automatically increase to a set amount, and it really sucks that you can't expand upon this. The RPG elements should have been much more expanded in this game. Even though gold is very hard to come by and it takes a substantial amount of grinding in order to get a good amount of gold, most of the items in the item shop are very cheap. You can buy potions, buy some equipment, and whatever you want. Most of the benefits aren't as significant as you would like, and some of these items can be found by completing quests, so I rarely visited the shop. Plus, selling back items, your loot, is very cheap. You'll most likely get 1 gold penny for it or something like that. It's very low the amount you get back for your loot. But easily, the worst part of this game has to be the Blacksmith. When you first get him, he has a 40% chance to upgrade your equipment, and this is the only way to get better weapons and armor. You have to pay him 150 gold pieces, which takes way too freaking long to get, and it comes down to a dice roll whether or not you'll get the item. And if you don't get the item, that's it. You've wasted 150 gold coin. The only way to really level him up is to gather these grindstones. Even though you might get a lot of them, it takes forever for him to level up. I guess that's why they call it a grindstone. Dumbass joke, but whatever. The game has a sense of humor, I'll give it that, but some of these quests just plain suck. The storyline is beyond boring. It's not even worth reading the text. It's very, very, very boring. While a majority of the quests are part of a larger quest, some of them are completely random, like this one. It legit is just you battling a boss for no entire reason. It's literally just, he legit just says, you're on a beach looking at the sea, then battle time. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's not funny, and it really just comes off as lazy. It feels like padding on an already boring, tedious, and kind of a grindy game. At first I was really into this game, and I was expecting a lot of board games humor, because I never really played any of the Dungeons and Dragons games myself, but I know a lot of people who have. And while there are some funny things to it when you see the 20-sided die being rolled at when you run away from monsters or when you're grinding and stuff like that, it's kind of cool, but there should have been more of it. There could have been a lot more with this game, but this game went way too simplistic and I have no clue why. And that's why my final rating is a 4 out of 10. It is a below average experience that is way too much of a grind and a bit of a disappointment coming from a concept standpoint. A couple of extra things I didn't know: while the graphics are pretty colorful and I enjoy them, the audio is completely piss poor. They really needed to put some more work in the music. It sounds like complete crap. It completely loops constantly and constantly. Overall, pass on this game. If you want a good game that's similar to the Dungeons and Dragons series, play the Might and Magic series, play even Lionheart at that point. Even if it has nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons, you'll get a much better RPG experience there than you will here. This is Powerhouse, signing off.